Hello, fellow refiners. Welcome to Refinement, not retirement. This is the podcast for people who, like us, prefer to make refinements to our lives as opposed to any talk of retiring from our lives. My name is Tony Coe, podcasting today, as usual, from the gorgeous Cotswolds village of Elmley Castle. And I co-host this podcast with my wife, soulmate, and life partner, Christine, who is back on the show alongside me today, or rather, well, she's in the kitchen and I'm in my home office, so not quite alongside. Anyhow, how are you today, Christine?
I'm good, thank you. The sun's shining, so I have to be happy.
Yes, it is shining. Okay, so we're having a break from any talk for a while about going vegan. That was Christine's request. She thought that we'd had enough of that for the moment. Today, we're going to talk about a life refinement that we made quite some time ago that was a big one. And it's one that we've alluded to many times in previous episodes, but we've never actually devoted an episode to it. And we don't want to rush this subject. We want to really dig quite deeply into it. As I say, it was a big one for us. We want to tell the story of how we came. How long ago was it, Christine, when we bought him?
Well, I think 2002 we completed.
Yeah, so
we're
it's
looking
over 20 years. Yeah.
21 years. Wow. I was just going to say, when you said, that was a refinement, without even realizing what we'd done so many years ago.
Yes, that's right.
Because we had the opportunity to do so, didn't we? And it was something that we just suddenly realized, wow, this is something we can excitingly do, because we had talked, if you remember, that we were never going to be able to retire in the States because, well, we can't, being British, UK citizens. And so we took the opportunity, what we're going to talk about in a minute, to sort of do something while we still could, and we were young enough to do that. And that turned out to be pretty exciting and amazing, really. Something that we did way, 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 way ahead of our retirement. We refined ourselves 21 years ago. I think that was the start of our refining, actually.
I think it was a start of it, and I think it. Let's make very clear what we want to talk about. We bought a property. We made quite a sudden decision, I think, to buy a property in Southwest Florida. And why are we talking about this? Well, it is a big refinement. I guess it was a Kickstarter for the various life refinements that we started to make as we looked ahead towards a time when we wouldn't be working anymore. It was really force of circumstances that led us into make this quite quick decision to buy a property. But we're talking about it because it's a lovely subject for us to talk about, and it brings together a lot of the refinement things that we want to that we talk about from time to time. But we also want to give value to you as our listeners, and we get asked a lot about people of our sort of age who are thinking, and many younger, who are thinking of buying a property, a place in the sun. And we're able, I think, from our perspective, to give our views and tell about our experience, and that has been valuable. People have made decisions on this subject just by hearing what we have to say, hearing about our experience, and so we hope that it may help some of you, as well as giving us a lot of fun reminiscing about those times. So let's give you the background of this. So what was the force of what were the circumstances? Well, the main thing was our business. So our business, we ran a business together, helping major corporations relocate, move their executives internationally, and most of those. So we would help them with providing services like finding rental homes and getting school places and dealing with visa issues and moving their belongings and all the moving parts that go with moving. So that most of our clients were major North American corporations, either based in Canada or in the United States. And this meant that we used to travel a lot to that part of the world. And we loved that, didn't we, Christine? I mean, we
did, yes,
had a
because
ball, really.
Yes, yeah. And it was, yeah, I mean, a lot of conferences we had to go to sort of get new business, didn't we? And network with existing clients and
where you used to say that you used to lurk. Tell them about
lurk.
lurking. Tell them
Oh
about
no, that was
lurking.
embarrassing. That was embarrassing, really. Got your name badge on, lurk, head for a name that you thought I need to see, well, who they're using for their relocation business as such.
You were our head of lurking, weren't you?
A head of lurking, yes, yeah. Very nervous back in
Well,
the beginning
actually,
days. That was true.
the truth of the matter is that I'm a bit of a coward, and Christine is really brave. And she, I'm sort of more being the techie guy, I suppose, conceptual guy, and Christine's been the one that's been out front in the trenches and bringing in contracts. And
talking about that, what about that spider you ran off when you saw this big giant spider? In the room this morning, I'm saying get it rid. Oh, and he's off. Bye.
No, I don't do well with spiders, and I don't do well with lurking. But you were a supreme lurker. So we would attend these conferences all over Canada. First of all, Canada, beautiful country, and then all over the United States and other parts of the world as it happens. But we would go to those conferences. The main reason a service provider like us goes to those conferences is to find business, find clients, and the corporate people who are at those things, they know very well that people are there to get their business,
count for their business. Yes,
and
yeah.
they're quite, shall we say, resistant to approaches. So, but
Yes.
Christine has always been very good. She doesn't let rejection phase her in any way. And
Well, I don't know about that.
well,
I
you
just didn't
don't.
let on how nervous I was.
Well,
Let's put it like that.
that
I
makes it
hide my
even
nerves
braver.
well.
That makes you
Yeah.
even braver, doesn't it? Because if you didn't,
but of course, yes. But of course, it's a long way to North America, and those flights were, pretty full on, and the time difference, and that's why I think we made that decision quite quickly that this would be a great idea, didn't we? That we would, if we part of the year, we were there the sort of conference times. Would be a short hop to conferences rather than making the international flights every time.
yes. So we were blessed, really, with these being able to travel to the most fantastic places, because these conferences were held in fabulous places. I mean,
Yes, they were.
we discovered Washington D.C. for the first time, which is a brilliant city. But places like what was that place near San Diego? Well, there was San Diego, wasn't there? There was a place where they first introduced
Yes, the Del
electricity.
Coronado.
The Del
Coronado
Coronado
Hotel.
there. We went to California, we went to Chicago. I mean, you name it. I mean,
Well, yeah. Well, they even had one. They used to have them in Orlando too, didn't they?
Yeah, at Disney World,
right,
which was
Disney
brilliant.
World.
We even considered getting married there, didn't we? And
We
that in
did.
itself
Yes.
is a
Yeah.
hysterical
Story.
story for another
Yeah.
day. But one of the greatest things we did is we found a conference run by one of the huge accounting firms in Scottsdale, Arizona, which was a place I already knew about because in a previous life I had gone there for training, and many times, and I loved it in Scottsdale, Arizona. Just loved everything about it: the beautiful red mountains, the scenery, the laid back lifestyle, the hotels were
Desert.
just
Yeah.
gorgeous.
Camelback
The
desert.
desert,
Yeah.
yeah, all of that was just terrific. But we found this conference, and actually it was quite shall we say, an elite conference, in the sense that it wasn't populated by load. We didn't find ourselves going with loads of competing relocation companies. This was an annual conference put on by this firm, one of the big, whatever they are, five or anyway, huge accounting firm, for their clients primarily. And they used to subsidize the party, if you like, because it was one big party, really, by inviting a few service providers along, not necessarily relocation firms like ours, but we just had a blast there. We loved it
It's
there, didn't we?
amazing, wasn't it? Yes, yeah,
And
amazing.
sort of all, so I'm giving you this background, or we're giving you this background in order to give you some idea of why we suddenly decided to buy a property there. We were traveling there so much, spending a lot of money on flights and fancy hotels and so on, and it just suddenly we said to ourselves, well, first, we love being here, we love the sun, and why don't we save money on hotels and things and have a bolt hole here, that could also serve as a place that we can, keep our stuff and not have to cart it backwards and forwards, and easily fan out from a point to all these cities where our clients were located when we needed to see them. And so in actual fact, of course, our first thought, since it was the place that we loved, was to think about Scottsdale, Arizona, or somewhere close to there. And so we actually, I think we looked at some properties there, didn't we, Chris?
Yeah, we did. I was just trying to remember that. I think we did. But we very quickly, didn't we, made, well, like we do, we're pretty good at decision making and knowing that we're making the right or wrong one. And I think we very quickly made the decision that it was not right for us. One, I think, if you remember, there was talk about, because it's in the desert and the water is piped in from Canada. And I think a real estate agent said to us, or somebody said that they always thought that maybe it would run out of water. Do you remember that?
I think that
don't
was
know where that.
I think that was a feeling that I had. We never think in the UK, do we, that we might run out of
Running
water?
out
I
of
mean,
water. No, I know.
that we have so much rain here. It never, especially where we live in the Cotswolds. But here we were in the desert, and they did import their water, as you say, from Canada, and it just made me feel, well, that what's happened with gas, with Russia holding nations to ransom, and I just did have this niggling feeling that
yes,
I
maybe
didn't want to be in a place
yes.
where water might be scarce. But actually, more than that,
Yes,
there were very
say,
practical
much more than that.
Yeah, there were very practical reasons why Arizona was not the right place. I mean, first of all, the property market had already taken off there.
They were very high prices.
I think there was something like 10,000 people a month moving from California to Arizona at that time.
Yes.
I remember that
Yeah.
sort of figure. And of course, that was having a big boosting effect on values. So we couldn't get very much for our money, because we weren't intending to spend very much at all.
No. Secondly, the time difference for
the time difference was a big one, wasn't it? Well, it was
8 hours.
Mostly 8 hours, but at one part of the year, it's 9 hours, because Arizona never changes its time, unlike other parts of the United States. So for those reasons, we thought, well, let's look for somewhere else.
There was a quick third one as well, just to throw in, was the flight time as well, because really the main airport was Phoenix, and there were only certain flights that would go there. You could go via somewhere else if you wanted to change flights, but it was a good 10-11 hour flight, and that was quite grueling, I think.
Yes. But it was so worth it when we got there, though. I'm not sure that would have necessarily.
Well, it was okay for a trip. It was okay for a trip.
Yeah.
But
I think the time difference, because of obviously our staff in London.
Yes, that's
we
true.
wouldn't be able to talk to them until 4 o'clock in the afternoon.
Yeah, and then that would only leave a couple of hours, wouldn't it?
Or they wouldn't be able to talk to us until 4 o'clock in the afternoon, their time. I think that's
yes,
that's right. That's the way it was.
Yeah,
and that just was not practical. Also, from an enjoyment point of view, no coast, no beach, nothing like that.
No.
So anyway, we wanted to look for something that had the advantages, some of the advantages, most of the advantages that Arizona, the things that we liked about Arizona, let's put it that way. And so I think you probably have a better memory than I do, but I think we later after that attended a conference, might have been Washington, somewhere on the East Coast anyway. And we thought, or someone mentioned to us, what about Florida?
Yeah, I think it was Boca Raton, actually. I think
Well,
it was
it might have been, yes, Boca
yes,
Raton
it was
might
Boca
well have
Raton,
been.
and we're driven down, I think, the East
Yeah,
Coast.
so we only really
Um,
knew the eastern parts, didn't we? I mean, we didn't,
yeah,
you'd think of Miami
we
and,
didn't we didn't
what,
spend any time there. I mean,
yeah, you think of Orlando, you think of Miami, um,
that's about it, I think.
Boca Raton, places like that. And we had we were coming from somewhere, I think, up north, but it might have been Orlando actually. It might probably Orlando was the
It
conference,
was, yes, I think it
and we
was.
drove down the East Coast, and we thought, hmm. I mean, the people seemed a bit sort of on the brash side. I've never really enjoyed the
Be
New
careful what you
Yorks. I
say,
know I've got to be careful,
Tony.
but I've also got to be honest, haven't I? I've never really liked the sort of brashness and the rushed lifestyle of the sort of Eastern Coast, well, the Eastern Coast way. I've been a much more sort of laid back person, Midwest, Western US appealed to me more, that kind of a lifestyle. And we were, I don't know, but everywhere we went as we stopped down, it just all felt a little bit, I didn't really feel that I didn't feel comfortable. That's the right word, I think. I didn't feel comfortable. I don't think you did either.
No, it just for the little that we saw, it just didn't do anything for us.
But
That again, it was easily we didn't even look at anything over there because there was no didn't do
no,
anything for us.
no. But Florida did make sense because it's much closer to the UK. The time difference is only 6 hours, sometimes five,
Five,
or
mainly
5 hours,
five.
sometimes four. That's right. And so I'm not sure exactly what happened, but what led to this. But we heard about the West Coast of Florida, and somebody said to us, and this I think is very insightful. Somebody said to us, the reason that there's they said the cultural difference that you get between the East Coast of the whole of the United States, and so you've got New York, Boston, all that sort of thing, and the West Coast, San Francisco, Los Angeles, San Diego's, and so on, that is kind of mirrored by even though it's a narrow state compared with the whole of the United States, then those cultural differences are mirrored between the East Coast of Florida and the West Coast of
Yes, they are.
Florida. So somebody said, you should be considering, since that's the kind of way you want to be, the sort of more laid back West Coast, you should consider the Gulf Coast of Southwest Florida. And that just made a lot of sense. And I think one of the places that was mentioned to us was Sarasota. And we, again, I can't remember what led to this, but
Well, I think we just started researching, just looking at buying a holiday home on the west coast of. This is my memory of Florida, and I think we came across. Actually, I think he was a real estate agent in Florida, but he was British.
I
And
think you might be right.
I think that's how he came and visited us because at our offices in London because we put an inquiry form in or a contact about what we were considering doing, and he called us, and he happened to be in the UK, and I think that's when he came to see us to discuss, and we got a map out, and we sort of talked about properties and areas and stuff, and he was the one that kind of guided us, I think, in the beginning.
So he actually came to our office in Kensington and sat with
Yes.
us. And because the one thing that sticks out in my mind, he had all these pictures of homes. I think he was from the Sarasota area, and he had all these pictures of homes, and all of them had this bird cage arrangement on the back. And we both said, Well, look, yeah, we'd like those houses look really good, but we don't want one of those bird cages on the back. And he said, "Oh, yes, you do. Oh, yes, you
Yes.
will." So the bird cage is what they refer to in Florida as the lanai. The lanai is the area because it's very much an outdoor living place, particularly Southwest Florida. So the houses are designed in such a way that they expect you to spend a lot of your time out in what they call the backyard, where your swimming pool is, probably your hot tub, your barbecue area, and probably a nice view. Uh, and you'll have outside dining there. But obviously it's swampland. Florida is, swampland. And you get a lot of mosquitoes and midges and things that bite you and are unpleasant. So the bird cage is essential. So it's sort of netting in a metal frame.
And even if you don't have, even if you have like a condo, as they call them, like a
You
flat,
still yeah, and
the,
you
the
have a
balconies
terrace.
still have that. They still on
Yeah,
the terrace or a
yeah. I
balcony.
mean,
You
it
still have
is. We
the
were
lanai.
quickly convinced that that was the
Yes,
right way to
yes,
go. But it just struck me that was a sort of a eureka moment when we were told about that. So we then planned a visit to that area, didn't we, to Southwest Florida? And you had heard through one of your contacts that we should also be considering a place called Naples. I've only ever associated Naples, or I had at that time, obviously, with Italy. But no, there's a Naples in Southwest Florida, and it was recommended to us that we should also be considering that. So we said to that real estate agent, set us up some appointments to view properties in Sarasota and also in Naples. We'll look at those two places and we'll make a decision, because we were sort of honing in on where we
yeah,
wanted to be. We'd made that decision. So we planned a trip, and for some reason we decided to do it. We decided to go to Naples first, didn't we?
yes. And I've no idea why, but I know that we flew in to wherever we flew in, and aimed to, yeah, and stay in Naples. And then I think and hired a car. If you remember, we had a car, so the plan was um, to drive up to Sarasota. Um, was it to drive? We were going to go up there first. No, I think we were going to look in Naples first, and then drive up. 2 or 3 days later to Sarasota. Is that right? I think that's what we
Yeah.
did,
So
didn't we?
we're going to be talking to you in a lot of detail about uh, where we chose where in Naples we chose, and the process of finding a home, buying a home, getting it ready for our occupation, closing, legal side, all that kind of stuff, and then as we go on with this series, and it will be a series of episodes. As we go on, we'll actually get into what it was like owning a home there, living there, and why ultimately, some 12 years later, we decided that it was time for us to end that particular chapter in our lives. But it was a fantastic chapter, and we will be telling you more about it and our reasons, obviously, for deciding to withdraw from there, which are not necessarily bad reasons, but they are reasons that perhaps you'll want to have regard to if you are considering getting a place in Florida, particularly, or any place in the sun, because I think a lot of these considerations apply to any home that you buy abroad. So we, I remember, Christine, that you were sort of quite keen, I think even before we went, to go to a nice hotel there. And I think you had your designs on the Ritz-Carlton in Naples. But I think I persuaded you that we needed to be a bit more budget conscious.
Yes, it was
So
it's very good.
so we
But
chose a place in downtown Naples.
I did because I
You
got
chose a place.
sucked into this little place.
I
Yes,
think you were very taken in by the fact that it had Egyptian cotton sheets. This is what I've.
Frette actually,
Oh, all
Tony.
right, okay,
Frette,
all right. Well, I know
F
it was
R
something to
E
do with
T
the
T E, Frette
upmarket
linen
linen.
sheets.
But this this hotel in downtown Naples turned out to be a bit of an American Faulty Towers.
Yes, it was.
It didn't
It was
live
a
up to its
disaster.
billing by any means. And in fact,
Did we last the night? We didn't last the night, did
I'm
we?
not sure if I think we,
No, it was definitely we didn't.
no, we
We
didn't even
didn't.
last because well, this is another issue that we'll perhaps get into later, but the toilet was blocked. First of all, the guy that checked us in seemed to put on a disguise, and then whenever anyone came, when we needed anyone in the room, he would come in a different disguise. So he was trying to pretend to be 5 different people.
Well, he was the luggage man, the receptionist,
Yeah,
the plumber,
he was everything, wasn't he?
the concierge. Yeah, he was everything. And
Complete
if you
with his
remember,
disguise kit.
We went out for dinner, didn't we? Just down the road, and
Well, of
came
course, the
back
hotel
and
had said that they had said that we could bill any restaurants locally. We could bill to our room. Do you remember that? Because it was
yes,
like, so they were making out that they were like this big organization that you could pay. You could just give your room number sort of thing. And of course, none the hotels, the restaurants said, "What are you talking about? What are you talking about? No way. You have to pay." So all of that was bunk. And well, anyway, they couldn't unblock the toilet, and we couldn't. You're right, we didn't stay there a night. So what? Of course, Christine said, "Well, I'm off to the Ritz Carlton." So she
it
got her way. I don't know whether she
was
planned
about
it.
3 o'clock in the
I
morning.
think
It was
she
about
might
three
have
o'clock in the
planned
morning.
it.
We
I
drove.
think because we went to the Ritz Carlton, and I mean, of course, it was absolutely fabulous there. What
Well,
used
if
to
you remember, I remember it was 3 o'clock in the morning. It was quite a long way north from downtown Naples, and I just remember in the morning waking up, and we pulled back the curtains, and we were right on the beach in Naples. So if anybody knows the Ritz Carlton in Naples, we pulled back those curtains, and all we saw was the most beautiful view of a white sandy beach, blue sky, um, just dolphins frolicking in the sea, and we just thought, "Oh my gosh, we're in heaven here. This is crazily gorgeous."
it was it
And
was
that was our morning wake up call, and thought, "This is it. We're here."
So this was yeah, you're right. This is the first night we didn't stay. Thank goodness we checked out of that place. Um, and but so now we hadn't even started our
No,
search for a property. So we're going to get into that in the next episode. So, but I should tell you that Christine and I are about to go to south of France, to the Bergerac area, where we have rented a home for our family. There'll be 17 of us there. We have,
might be 18 actually, I think,
might
or
be
no, it might
18.
have gone up to 18, 19. Who knows?
So I mean, this will be our first electric car experience. We're taking our 2 electric cars, and our son-in-law, one of our sons-in-law, is going to drive the other Tesla, and this will be our first time testing out what it's like to drive an electric car through France, a long way. And we're going to be we've got 4 daughters, and they've got partners and husbands and children
And
and
babies.
and as I say, we're probably going to be 18 of us, and it'll be fantastic. So we will be away, so there will be a break before we can get into episode 2. But I hope you'll find this as enjoyable as we're finding it talking about it. It's real sort of memory lane stuff for us, isn't it, Christine?
Yes, it is. Yeah. Funnily
But
enough, some pictures came up on my phone today about it, going back like,
Facebook
yeah,
memories.
memory. Yes. Oh my goodness me. I'm thinking,
And
wow, was it that long ago? It's incredible.
and we'll tell you about this also later, but we are actually going back to stay there for a month later this year. So we'll tell you a little bit about that as well, what we're going to be doing there and why. But thank you very much, dear listener, for all your support. We are a young, growing podcast, so having your support and engagement, and when you is very important to us. And when you share our episodes, that really is really helpful to us. And we also love to hear your feedback. We love your ideas for things that we should be talking about. And you can see us recording the episode if you're that way inclined on both Spotify for podcasters or Spotify. Just use your regular Spotify account and you can see us recording this. Or anywhere you get your audio podcasts like Apple, etc. You can find this podcast there. You can communicate with us through Spotify or through our Facebook page or through comments on YouTube. And we love all that. So, please keep it up. And we look forward to getting back to you after our trip and getting further into our Southwest Florida adventure. But for now, we've exhausted our time for today. So it is, as always, goodbye from me.
And goodbye from me.
Goodbye, everyone. See you next
Bye-bye.
time.
Bye.
Bye.